Hey guys, how is everyone? I hope that all of my American viewers had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We had a very quiet one. It was just my husband and me. And we had turkey that I basted in butter. We did have mashed potatoes and gravy, and then we had broccoli. So no bread, no stuffing. And the reason why is because I read this book. Now, this book is called Wheat Belly. It's on the New York Times bestseller list. It was written by William Davis. He is a preventative cardiologist out of Milwaukee, which is close to where Mike and I used to live. I had decided to go grain-free about 3 months ago, and it correlated somewhat with the timing of reading this book. I got this in September and read it on the way on their trip to Vegas. For me, it was a quick, easy read. I do have a 25-year history of working in healthcare, so, maybe that's why it was easier for me. But in my opinion, Dr. Davis has written this very well. The average person can read it, can be entertained by it. He has a nice sense of humor. And the way he imparts the information is easy to understand. He did an excellent job writing this. In my opinion, if you do one thing, if you make New Year's resolutions, which I don't, I haven't done that in years, but if you do one thing for yourself and for your family, read this book. Take from it what you will. This has been a life-changing book for me. Some of my viewers who've been watching me for a while may remember that last spring I had a colonoscopy done, which was a horrible experience. I had started having some intestinal problems with frequent trips to the bathroom, if you know what I mean. And I was worried because about 4 years before that, I had had a case of C. diff, which is Clostridium difficile. It is a bacterial infection of the gut, and I fought that for about a year, so I was worried that I had C. diff back. The cultures, everything came back negative, and since I was 57 years old and never had a colonoscopy, they suggested that I do that. So I did. Colonoscopy was fine, no polyps. He did take some tissue samples. He took 5 of them, which showed microscopic colitis. Now, if you look it up in the medical literature, they say that the etiology is unknown or the cause is unknown. It's suspected that it could have to do with certain medications and blah, blah, blah. But I posted something on Dr. Davis's Wheat Belly page on Facebook about it, and he and I are of the same belief that eating wheat caused me to have leaky gut, which gave me the microscopic colitis. So, and that isn't due to gluten. I don't believe I'm gluten sensitive. I believe it has to do with the gliadin, which is a protein in wheat, which causes lots and lots of problems. You don't have to be gluten sensitive to be impacted, and all of us are impacted by wheat, and all of us are impacted by wheat negatively. So he goes through and he talks about ancient wheat, what it was like, the properties, and how it moved through the thousands of years of agriculture, of hybridization, the natural hybridization. And then he brings us up to in the 1960s when the world population was booming and the experts were worried about not being able to feed everyone in the world. So they started genetically modifying the wheat to hopefully make it stronger, more disease resistant, more pest resistant, where it would be easier to grow and it would be easier to harvest and blah, blah, blah. Well, what they've come up with is this monster, this modern wheat, which doesn't resemble even chromosomally the wheat that we used to eat. In the book, he starts out by talking about the wheat and how it used to be. and what it is now, and all the problems that we have with this. It is just a fascinating book. So chapter 4 is wheat and its head-to-toe destruction of health, the health problems and diseases that are associated with wheat consumption. Let's see. Okay, we'll start with arthritis, fibromyalgia, cerebellar ataxia, which is a destroying of the tissue of the brain, autism, Alzheimer's, which is very near and dear to my heart because it runs very strongly in my family, and an excellent reason for me to get off of this stuff. Let's see, what else? Obesity, hypertension, cardiac disease. I mean, don't we all want to lose weight and feel better and not have our metabolic labs out of order? Don't we want to get out of the metabolic syndrome that this has created? Let's see, it's associated with colitis, Crohn's disease, rashes, skin rashes, acne, hair loss, and the list goes on and on and on. So he talks about, he inserts little segments of stories that he experienced with his patients and the problems that they were having and the startling disappearance of the symptoms and illnesses that they had by eliminating wheat. He also includes some meal suggestions. He includes a list of foods and non-foods that contain wheat, such as lip gloss and lipstick. I'm still going to use my lipstick and lip gloss though. A lot of medications, vitamins, supplements have wheat in those. So whenever I buy any supplements, I always look to make sure that it's wheat free. Okay, here are some miscellaneous envelopes, the glue, gloss and lip balms, Play-Doh, prescription and over-the-counter medications, nutritional supplements, lipstick, and stamps. It's the glue. Of course, cereals, breads, any of that, but a lot of artificial colors, flavors, caramel coloring, question mark, emulsifiers, maltodextrin, there's a question mark there. But just he goes through and outlines what is in, what products wheat is in, and then he gives a lot of really good recipes. You can make pizza using flaxseed, ground flaxseed. You can make cookies and bake wonderful, delicious muffins by using chopped walnuts, ground flax seeds, ground almonds, and these are all delicious flours. You can get coconut flour and almond flour, and it's just ground coconut and ground up almonds. It's kind of difficult to grind the nuts up by yourself without ending up with a paste because the heat in most food processors will do that. So I just buy mine at the store. People will say, I can't give up wheat. I can't give that up. I can't give it up. I'm addicted to it. You are addicted to it because gliadin, this protein in wheat, attaches itself to the opiate receptor in your brain. Wheat is also an appetite stimulant. That's why you're hungry, you eat that box of wheat thins, and an hour later you want some more wheat thins, or you want the donut, or you want the sandwich, or you want the whatever, the wheat, because it is addicting and it is an appetite stimulant. This I found was really interesting. During World War II, the staff in mental institutions noticed that because of the wheat shortage during World War II, now this is pre-1960s modern day wheat, that the schizophrenics did better when they didn't eat wheat. So in the 50s, I think a couple of hospitals went ahead and did their own informal experiments, and they would, for a few weeks, take any of the wheat products away from the schizophrenics, and guess what? Their symptoms improved. It wasn't a cure for the disease, but then they'd reintroduce it back, and guess what? They'd get worse again. So this stuff is not good. Don't eat it. Please don't eat it. You don't need to eat wheat. You don't need to eat grains. You don't need those high levels of carbs in your body. We've been misled. We've been fed a bunch of bullshit that isn't true. We can do, and I've done it for almost a year, and I feel great. My brain is functioning very well. I get all the carbs and the fiber that I need from the vegetables and the raw nuts that I eat. I have to watch my protein intake, because if you eat too much meat, too much protein, your liver will convert some of that into carbs, and I want to stay as low carb as I can. So it's a balancing act between the fats and the protein. So I label myself as eating low carb, high fat, and moderate protein, and that's how I eat. So what happens when you eat wheat or these other starches that they tell diabetics to eat? Why are they telling diabetics to eat starches? Safe starches is what they've labeled them. They're not safe, because it doesn't matter if it's a whole grain or a refined whatever. What's going to happen is, and what kills me is, this one pasta markets itself as being a safe pasta because it slowly elevates the blood sugar, which is a bunch of bullshit. You get a diabetic who has testing strips and a blood sugar meter, you go ahead and test it on yourself. You go eat some pasta or this supposedly safe starch, take your blood sugar before, you take your blood sugar an hour after eating, 2 hours after eating, 3 hours after eating. Take it 4 times and you tell me what your results are. Your blood sugar is going to go way up. So what happens when your blood sugar goes way up, which happens when you eat carbs, is your pancreas kicks out insulin. And insulin has 2 functions, 2 main basic functions. One of them is to regulate the blood sugar, it's to bring it back down, and the other is it is the main fat storing hormone that we have. So that's its other function. So any of those carb calories that you ate, if you don't burn those immediately, guess what? That insulin is going to cause you to store those calories as fat. And as long as you're relying on carbs for your energy source and your fuel, you will never unlock the fat cells and be able to utilize the fat. And this is another book that I want to recommend. This is more scientific. It's not as much of a fun read as Wheat Belly is, but Gary Taubes explains this beautifully. It is endocrinology. It is how our bodies work. And we don't need all those carbs. Like I said, the USDA, the American Medical Association, the American Dietetic Association, they're all telling us to eat 6 to 11 servings a day of healthy whole grains, and it's a bunch of bullshit. This is why we're getting fat, why we're developing all these diseases, why people are on statins, which are going to kill us, because in America, they put everybody on statins, even those who don't really need to be on statins. They don't tell them to take CoQ10, the enzyme, and you know what? It's destroying the cardiac tissue. Why are we doing that? Who's making money off of this? Let's see, the ag business, the pharmaceutical business, and doctors aren't telling patients this or prescribing these medications because they're evil or they're mean or they want to kill them off. They're misled, just as we have been. And Dr. Davis, Gary Taubes, and a lot of other people are blowing the whistle on this. And there's no need to eat wheat. There's no need to eat grains. There's no need to eat vegetable oils. They're horrible for us. Legumes are horrible for us. We've been told that to eat, dried beans and peas and peanuts. Peanuts are legumes, they're not nuts. And they're horrible for us. They cause a lot of inflammation in the body. So you eat these things that cause all this inflammation in the body, and what happens? Your body thinks it's under attack. And so it kicks out all these stress hormones, cortisol, and da-da-da-da-da. So, and what do? They are kicked out in the fight or flight response, which Gary Taubes talks about quite eloquently, and we get fat. and our body's constantly under stress. We want to eliminate the inflammation in our bodies. We want to eliminate the stress response in our bodies. And this is the number one way you can do this. Not only will you, if you need weight to lose, you will lose weight. If you have any health issues, you're probably going to see an improvement, especially in the ones that I have outlined. I recommend this book to everyone. And in fact, I'm doing this video today because I have to wrap this up and send it off to my sister. I've bought 6 copies of this book. I initially got the one for me, which Vinny has. She took it on her cruise vacation with her. I got one for each of her daughters. I would have gotten one for Tony, but I don't think he'd read it. And then I got one for each of my sisters for Christmas. And I normally don't get them Christmas gifts, but I believe so strongly in this that they're getting that for Christmas. They can do with it what they will. I hope that they will read it and will hopefully make some changes in their diet. But we've been fed a line of bullshit, and it continues. And we're getting it from everywhere. And here's another interesting fact too. Did you know that one slice of whole wheat bread has a higher number on the glycemic index than table sugar? You might as well eat table sugar because your glycemic response is going to be lower. You're not going to have as high of a blood sugar spike. You're not going to kick out as much insulin. I'm not a proponent of sugar because I don't eat that either. But it'd be better for you than eating these healthy whole grains. So I know that there were some other points I wanted to make. Let me go through, flip through this. Oh, diabetics. I want to talk about that a little bit. We've known for 100 years, it's been known that diabetics should not eat carbs. They should not be eating starchy vegetables. They should not be eating breads. They should not be eating anything like that because it causes this huge blood sugar spike. So why all of a sudden are we telling diabetics to eat these safe starches? These slow rising, these safe starches that are going to cause your blood sugar to rise slowly. It's a bunch of bullshit. It isn't true, and it's easy to test. I already talked about using the blood sugar meter. But who's profiting from that? The food industry and the pharmaceutical companies, because they tell them that they need to eat these carbs, and what happens? The blood sugar goes up, and how do they regulate it? With insulin. There are people with type 2 diabetes who are becoming non-diabetic by eliminating this crap out of their diets. Now, if you've damaged your body enough, you may be so insulin resistant that this isn't going to help you lose weight necessarily. Some people, it gets pretty complicated. You know, the whole metabolic process in the body is very complicated, and Dr. Gary Taubes talks about that in more depth in this book. So I'm just dumbing it down to real basic ways that I can understand it. But why are diabetics being told to eat this stuff that 100 years ago they were told not to? In the 60s, I was in 7th grade and I was about 40 pounds overweight. Sound familiar? I just lost 40 pounds. Although I weigh more now than I did when I lost the 40 pounds then, so I was 20 pounds heavier, but that's okay. You know, I'm hitting 60, and it's not a bad idea to have a few extra pounds in case, you know, you get hit by a disease. Cancer! Cancer is caused by eating wheat! Folks, wake up. Let's not eat this stuff. I was put on a diet by my doctor. I was in 7th grade. And it was very much the Atkins diet. It was meat, it was cheese, it was cottage cheese, it was vegetables, very little fruit, no sugar, no bread, no potatoes, none of that crap that we don't need. And we do not need it to live and to be healthy. In fact, we're better off if we don't eat it. We will be healthier. And you know what? I lost 40 pounds. So we knew it back in the 60s. So why in the 80s did it all change? Well, these guys talk about that to some degree. There are a ton of videos on YouTube. There are a lot of interviews with Gary Taubes on YouTube that you can find. Dr. Davis has Wheat Belly channel on YouTube, and he has a Facebook page. Check out his videos. He doesn't have enough. Dr. Davis, you need more videos. I know you're busy. And then Mark Sisson. There are a lot of videos on YouTube where he is being interviewed. He was a world-class athlete. Oh, and I was reading his book on the way back from Las Vegas. I bought this at Whole Foods. And he has a daily blog called Mark's Daily Apple. And Dr. Davis has a blog called Wheat Belly and the Facebook page. So check the stuff out. And if nothing else, at least watch some of the videos where Dr. Davis is being interviewed. If you don't like to read, if you can't afford the book, you can get it at the library. And like I say, there's a lot of information on YouTube about this stuff. This is real. This isn't junk science. This is the real deal. The other stuff, not so much. But I just really, really hope that you guys will at least explore it a little bit more. I'm a firm believer in this. Gosh, I started working in healthcare in 1975, and we did not give diabetics bread or potatoes in their meals when they were in the hospital. They just didn't get it because we knew they shouldn't have it. So, can you tell I'm passionate about this? I have some wig reviews that I need to do, so those are going to be coming up. If you have any questions, please leave them below and I will do my best to answer. And the wig I'm wearing is my Raquel Welch, the heartthrob that I got in the praline foil. And I really like it. So, yeah, now I have to go to Walmart. It's my day. And then it's back to work tomorrow. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you made it to the end of this video. You know, if you guys look into this, watch some of these videos, let me know what you think. If you want to do a video response, I will approve it and put it below. And I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. And here's to your health. I really, really hope, you know, that at least one person will look into this and make some changes and have some better health. So anyway, I love you guys bunches, and I'll just talk to you soon. Bye. Hey guys, it's me again. There are a couple of things that I wanted to tell you, and I didn't remember till I turned the camera off. A couple of personal stories. My husband had eaten a meal that was breaded and deep fried, and he said that his stomach was upset after that, and he said, well, I think it's because of the fat in it. And I said, well, I don't agree with you, and I said, and here's why. I said, you will take these big juicy steaks, take them outside, grill them, bring them in. I have in the meantime sauteed mushrooms in butter. You bring your steak in, you get a pat of butter and you smear it on your steak. You put the butter sauteed mushrooms on your steak, you eat that. Do you feel sick? And he was like, no, I don't. Then when we were in Vegas, that was before we went to Las Vegas. And actually my husband is a believer in the wheat thing. He isn't as strict as I am with his diet. He does eat cookies from time to time. And that's, you know, that's his choice. I wish he wouldn't, but he's a big boy, you know. Although I am older. But so we went to this Italian restaurant in Vegas. He decided he was going to have pasta. Okay. So they bring the bread. He eats a couple of pieces of bread and butter. Then he orders the fettuccine Alfredo, and it came with eggplant parmesan on the side. And so the eggplant is breaded and cooked. He has the pasta, which of course is made from durum wheat, and he eats the bread, which is made from wheat. And he told me the next day, he said, I couldn't sleep last night. He said his stomach was so upset. That really hit home to him, that his stomach was so upset. And frequently when we'd go out to eat, we'd come home and he would just say his stomach was so upset. So I think he is definitely more susceptible to wheat as far as, you know, his stomach goes. For me, I think my gut with my my microscopic colitis. But so those were just a couple of personal stories that we have had. And you know, just think about it. Think about what you're eating. Think about how you feel afterwards. If you aren't feeling so good after eating wheat. And you know what? It's a simple way to eat. It's not always easy though, because some people are so strongly addicted to wheat that it's really difficult for them to get off of it. You do go into withdrawal. You will go into withdrawal. You'll have cravings. Could be crabby. You could feel tired when you're going through the withdrawal. But as with any addiction, it's so worth that time period from a few days to maybe a few weeks of discomfort. It's so worth it when you come out on the other end and you feel wonderful and you're not reliant on carbs for your energy. I don't carb load anymore. I don't need to. I can go and do an hour-long Zumba class and feel just as energized and good as I did beforehand. I don't feel necessarily hungry. I can go for hours without eating. If I eat, Mike and I walked up to this breakfast restaurant. This was in Vegas. It's 2.25 mile walk up there, maybe. So we walked up there. We had steak, eggs, and I didn't have any breads or anything, so they offered tomato slices and avocado slices. So that was my breakfast, and I wasn't hungry again until probably 5 o'clock that night. And then we walked back home again, so we walked 4 to 5 miles that day, and I went for hours, and I wasn't hungry. And what happens if you eat that way is that you don't get the bumps in your blood sugar. Your blood sugar stays definitely more stable. You're not secreting a lot of insulin, and so you're not storing fat. You're actually, if you get your carbs low enough, and people have to kind of experiment with that. There's no magic number. On Ideal Protein, they wanted us to be below 40 a day, and I do that easily with the way I eat now. Below 40 grams of carbs a day. And it's a simple way to eat. You're just eating real whole food. You're eliminating all that processed crap. That isn't food. Just eat the real stuff, and I think that you're going to find you feel better. Oh, and I've told people this. When we came back from Las Vegas, I went to pick up my prescriptions at Walmart at the pharmacy, and the young woman who usually checks me out, she looked at me and she said, "Wow, you look different. You look so good." She goes, "What have you done?" And I said, "Well, I lost a lot of weight and I'm wearing a wig." And she said, "No, your skin." And then I saw Corey, the stylist who works in our building. She got back from her vacation about a week or two after I got back, and I went in to say hi to her, and she asked me if I'd had a facelift. I'm like, "No, really?" This wouldn't be hanging here. And then she wanted to know if I'd had Botox, and I said no. And she said, are you sure?" And I said, "Corey, I'd tell you guys. I have no secrets. I don't care. If I had Botox, I'd be like, well, look at me, girl, I had Botox." But no. And I have had so many people comment on my skin, and the only thing that's different is the way I'm eating. I'm eating a lot of saturated fat. I'm eating some protein, and I'm eating very few carbs. And I also take, the brand is Arctic. Hang on, let me show it to you. It is Arctic D cod liver oil, and I take a teaspoon of this a day. Sometimes I'll take 2, and I keep it in the refrigerator. It has a mild fish flavor, and they add lemon to it. Now, if you don't want to, drink cod liver oil, you can get in capsules. No big deal. Another person who you might want to look into is Sally Fallon. She is the president and co-founder of the Weston A. Price Foundation. Weston Price was a dentist who in the 30s went around the world and looked at the teeth and the dietary habits of people's. And she has there's some really good videos on YouTube with Sally Fallon. It's Fallon, Sally Fallon. And last weekend I watched 2 separate videos. They were 2 hours long, so I spent 4 hours last weekend watching some of her videos. Fascinating look at diet and dietary health and dental health and fats. One of the videos that was really good, it's called The Oiling of America. I recommend it. Go watch it. So I think that's all I want to say. Sorry I had to put this little addendum piece on here, but thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time out to watch this. Take care and in good health. Bye.